Alright, welcome back to another how-to video, guys. This is going to be a budget hood build. Basically, we have this Corvette C6 hood that is for Safety Ray. If you guys haven't followed him on Instagram, Safety Ray, that's his Corvette C6. We've had done a lot of different work on there. In today's video, we have a hood that he got for 50 bucks. I believe it was actually 60. So, a hood for 60. And what we're going to do today is we're going to actually cut holes in the hood today. There's already giant holes, so we have Temu $5 hood vents. We have a Z01 Camaro mid hood vent. So a lot of it's going to be for heat extraction, not really heat cooling, but for extracting the heat outside the hood. So we already mocked up all the stuff on the hood prior just to see exactly where he wants to cut it. The way how I'm going to execute this today is I'm actually going to drill in this one. I'm gonna cut in this one. So first we're gonna cut in this piece right here, kind of set the angle and where we want it, and then from there we're gonna just basically follow along the lines. So measure out everything right over here to mirror on that side, and then after that I'm gonna go ahead and see how far it is from the middle. And I know this isn't exactly the most straightest hole that they put in the hood. The center point, you guys can tell it's a little bit off. It's hard to see on camera, but it's a little bit off. Really, Ray's model is as good as it can get. So it's good enough. I can show you what this is going to look like on top right here. And once this is in and he likes where it's going to be at, I'm going to then pull this back to kind of just mimic the entire line. This is a very good flat line right over here going across the hood. So without further ado, I'm going to start cutting into this side right here. I do have some previous tape marks, and it is about 3.5 inches around this whole entire bezel just to sneak this in. The way how we're going to glue this down is with some panel bond and secure it down so that way it doesn't come off the car and fly up in the windshield. So enough of me talking, let's get cutting. Super nerve-wracking. I already made a nice little slit. I am going to be able to clean this up with a Dremel. There's going to be a lot of dust in the air, so I am wearing a face mask as well. So do this at your own safety, guys. Definitely be careful. Let's get it. The one advantage of cutting less is that I can shave more if I need to shave more. Also, I am going to be adjusting the vent when it does get in there. This fiberglass, guys, it is very bad to breathe in. Huh. Looks like right here there's actually support for the hood. But kind of went through that. That's okay. Because it's going to have a nice vent in there. We have our nice little mock-up of a hole. Really the size of it, it's going to be cut right here. And then it's going to be cut along the orange tape. That's exactly where we need to cut it at in order for the vent to slide right in. Almost out of there. Man, this looks like a happy fest. A little Snow White happening over here. But we have our hole cut out, and let's see here. Might have to cut out a little bit more. Answer the biggest question. Why didn't you take this outside to go ahead and do this? Well, RYOBI. These are probably the most weirdest, strangest electric tools to start off with. It's cool for a shorthand thing, but the battery life really sucks. Just in the time of cutting this entire thing, guys, on a full 30-minute plus charge on its charger, the battery's already dead. So I'm in the house, I'm in my kitchen, the battery's dead. So the vent is almost in there. I just need to shave a little bit more off this corner up here, and as soon as I started cutting through the stick piece right over here, it just said bye-bye. So this is a metal grinder. I know I'm not using the right blade to even begin with. This is fiberglass, but the Dremel died quick. This thing died quick. So now I'm not even using anything like at a high power. I just don't know. RYLBI just sucks. Alright, so with a little bit of persuasion, got this thing nice and cut in there. Maybe I'll try to trim more in the front right here, just along that bracket, because I know it's this piece that's bugging it. So I just don't want to cut too much of the front support out. But let's keep cutting. Okay, so cutting this big giant massive hole, extending it basically a little bit back. It's going to be kind of hard because already this one has a nice support right up here, and the support is right here where my thumb's at. So that's as far as front as I can go, and I don't want it to be more than this point. But if we're putting this in front, the point is here, the point is there. So if this point is to be here, it doesn't need to be cut in the back area per se. There's like these little things right here. I can just kind of like sand them down with the grinder. Our more important thing is getting this right here. So measuring out this back end area, the thing about the back end is that there's a big support right here. So there's a big giant support right here, and that gives me maybe just enough clearance to cut right there. I need to cut in this square. This is where I previously measured at when I looked at the wash my face and everything, and man, Jesus, this this cutting is just, it's not bueno. It's no bueno. I'll take this outside. I'm gonna take it down the street. That way I'm not in my area, my apartment area, because I don't want to be cleaning up the apartment if I didn't want to be cleaning up this. I already mopped everything else. So you guys know I do have a bunny, so I don't want her getting a little fiberglass in her little toesies.
The next day.
Alright, so the next day, over here at my mom's now, basically what I did, behind the scenes, I kind of found the center line of where exactly the hood is. Crazy thing is that the factory pins for the bonnet cover aren't exactly aligned to the center, so I just measured in 11 and maybe a quarters from the center line. So that's where we're going to be cutting at today. We're going to cut out the middle section, going all the way up, all the way to this brace right over here. Probably going to be cutting a section out of the brace, and then going all the way up over here, and then cutting majority of this brace out right in the middle right here. Respect. Just peeled off right here. From underneath, and let's see exactly how this lines up. Looks like she's in. Yep. cut a lot on this side right here. One. Bastards. Alright, so I got the hole cut out. You can see where the cowl area was before. That stuff's so nasty. It's gonna actually be a very big problem when going down this hood. Scoops. We do have to remove the gasket on there, put some panel bond, secure it down there, probably with a toolbox or something so it's nice and secure. But you can see it's lining up pretty good. The goal is to try to get it lined up with that one to those basically tips. And there is some other obviously blemishes from the previous owner. The tips are all messed up. The front of the hood right there is all messed up. But this is good enough. It's a project hood, it's a project car, and this is Ray's car. So whatever he wants to do in the near future, we could totally sand this all down 100%. Primer, Bondo, whatever we have to do, fiberglass sheet if we have to, and just clean everything up. Okay guys, so majority of the tape sped up a little bit. It's taken off, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just clean up these edges so they're a little more straighter. Clean up the edges over here a little more straighter, and that side's pretty good. Maybe even just, I'm gonna leave this right here. This does not interfere. This is actually just structure, so I'm gonna leave that structure right there. It is what it is with that one. That's obvious. Quick disclaimer out there too, guys. I'm not no professional with this, so everybody's like, oh, he's got a guard on, he's a little scared, he can't. Well, yeah, obviously. Have you seen the videos of these things blowing up people's faces? It's not the best. Let's keep going, man. Tape lines I just put on is basically where the top of the cut on the other side is, and then the bottom, so we're going to keep cutting along. Hold it in there, darling. tilt this thing up carefully on its end. One end is on the box, the other end is on the other box. As you can see, I still got to keep going. I don't know if you guys can see the full range. I don't want to touch the camera too much. Hold on. Let me, I'm just going to full send. So we have that top right there. You can see how far I have to go up more to cut it. I basically got to cut this entire area out right over here, and then a little bit up all the way up here. So then I still have to keep going up, and it looks like for the curve down here I do have to cut a little bit off from the top, and then from the bottom you can see where that white line is at is where I really have to cut that anyway. So we're really going by eyeball over here, but it should be fine. Alright, so taking the mask off because everything is done. Whew. Let's see here. This is my face super white. Not as white as last time because I was doing it in the kitchen. I probably do have a little bit of a dry nose with all the fiberglass going on, but got it done. Honestly, it wasn't that bad of a job. I do charge like $20 an hour for friends for work maintenance, but Ray's been a really good friend, so he always watches the video. You know, he always watches content on the channel, and he tries to come out to the meets, my nighttime chill flow meets. So I always appreciate a friend who has my back. There's too much snakes in the water nowadays in the car scene. It's kind of hard to have friends that you can trust and rely on. So this may or may not be a budget build per se for him. I'm not going to charge too much for labor. I'm not going to tell you guys because it's all boring stuff and everything, but you can see right now, honestly, for 200 bucks, keeping it at a budget, this hood was around $60. The middle vent was around 40 bucks. And then the two side vents were only $5 on Temu. This build is not sponsored by that app, but if you guys want to get some cheap parts or anything like that, shop on Temu. They have cheaper parts on there, and honestly, you wouldn't even be able to tell. I mean, it's ABS plastic. They do line up relatively well from where they're at down to that point right there. It's kind of our main focal spot. There is that giant ugly looking cowl thing in the middle. Can't really do too much about that unless we do some massive body work to this thing. But I got it all kind of cleaned up enough to take back home and not get fiberglass all over me. I am covered in it still, but just a quick update. So this is part one of the video, guys, where basically we cut the sides out, measured it with a tape, measurement tape, and a Sharpie. Eyeballed everything, cut the center out and everything like that. Now this back end may or may not glue down 100% just because that hump right there. So I'm going to bring that up to Ray, of course, obviously later on. That one right there, I did cut a little too much on the very front. Keeping it 100 with you guys in this channel. There was a little nick right here as well. A little bit of black spray paint. Obviously, like I said, this thing needs body work. The front end needs body work. There's a massive chip right there. Not from me. Also, the tips of the ends from where it was sitting at before. There, it was some scuffs and everything. Also, this thing has a lot of swirl marks and scratches and stuff, but I mean that's for the later on. Honestly, this looks pretty good. I'm glad we went with this one. We were gonna go with the ZR1 style clear hole, but you know, and then maybe even a cowl on top just to get rid of this hole right here. But there were so many different options to go with this hole. Maybe even covering it with some aluminum and then patching it up, calling it a day. But it still obviously needs some body work. And honestly, you can see that the cowl wasn't even on straight. It was like to the right. Well, to the left, to the right, but it was a little crooked from whoever put this on to begin with. So I'm glad that I was able to put my hands on this. And yeah, stay tuned to part 2, guys. Part 2, we'll glue everything down. I'll show you guys how to apply panel bond and what we're gonna do to make sure that this sits on the hood nice and even, so that way everything is glued down. Let's see right here, this one's gonna have a little weirdness, but that was because of the previous hole. It was a little awkward as well. Like I said, it was crooked, which shouldn't still be a problem. I just, you know, with the panel bond, it's gonna be right there. It's a little tiny hole right there, and then there's a little tiny nick somewhere in the top vent. Keeping it 100 with you guys, there is a little tiny nick on the top, only because I thought, you know, being at my mom's is gonna be nice and peaceful, quiet and whatever. A lot of people came home and started rumbling through and talking in the background, and I was cutting the screws out of the back on this vent, and basically I accidentally went a little sideways with the Dremel because I got distracted, and that's what happens when you get distracted. But that's gonna be it. If you guys want to stay tuned to part 2, like I said, we're gonna be gluing everything. But as always, guys, stay safe and stay show.